Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's the start of a new week and it's time for How to App on iOS with me, Jade. I know for a lot of you it's still the weekend, in the US, UK especially. But here it's Monday morning and it's around 8 a.m. here in Melbourne. I haven't looked out the window yet. I'm on my first cup of tea for the day, so I hope everybody is doing well. Say good day in the chat, and I'll do my best to put on my glasses and read the chat. See, I forget my glasses every morning. I can already see SM Borthwick, Benedict Stewart, Tom, how are you? All right, so what are we going to be doing this week? We're going to be doing another little weekly thing, and it's going to be chock full of stuff, so I hope you've strapped in for what's happening. Let's start off with something really exciting for the week. So this is Drum Week, and the overall idea for this week's material is to help you become better equipped to have a drum sound using GarageBand on iOS that doesn't sound like everybody else. To free yourself from the automatic drummer, to open up the limited sounds that GarageBand give you for drums, whilst still using the amazing system that is provided within GarageBand iOS. That's the concept for this week, to give you alternatives, because look, it's a thing that niggles me, and I know it shouldn't, but look, it's a harsh reality having such an easy to use tool like GarageBand, is that the more that people use this app on iOS and use the auto drummers and the drum sounds that are already provided within GarageBand, the more material you're going to hear from yourself and others where the drums just sound exactly the same. And trust me, it will shit you after a while. I know it does me. It just is what it is, because the sounds become such a normal thing for you, because you're basically using GarageBand and iOS all the time. You will start to pick it up. You'll hear other people's songs. Not that I'm saying you'll be jealous or like saying, oh, I don't want to sound like that person's material, but you will hear that your drums sound virtually, I love the irony there, the same as everybody else. So I will break into some exciting news too. During this week, let's get into my search section here. I'm going to be giving away an app, which was kindly provided to me by Andre at Elliot Garage Software, who makes this fantastic app called EG Pulse. So I've got one copy of this to give away this week. The whole show that I'm doing will be on this app, so you'll know if you want to get in and win a copy of this. I just love this app. It opens the door to your GarageBand iOS, to whatever DAW you're using, and gives you so many options. Just the ability to be able to import your own individual drum samples is like, yeah, man. And this is an AuV3 plugin, so you can use it within GarageBand. You can record MIDI notes using your electronic drum kit. I'll go into it more this week, but that's what I'm going to be giving away. So that's really exciting. Let's switch over to my chat cam, which today is sitting over on my drum kit. Look, I was going to be able to play the kit a little bit. I know I don't have it set up yet, but it's just right next to me. But I'll probably use it a little bit, but more or less, I know everybody doesn't have an E Drumkit, so I'm going to be using more of the iPad screen today to show you what we are doing. Okie doke. So let's get this started. I'm going to have some of my cup of tea. Hey Stu, welcome to the chat. Yeah, ain't that the truth, SM Borthwick? Everyone will. I mean, once you, over on Pete's channel, he's always talking about create, record, release. once you actually start releasing your own music and hearing other people like from other, you will start hearing that same drum sound and the same drum fills from the auto drummer, and that can get, I don't know about you, but to me that pisses me off. I don't want Kyle moonlighting with some other band. I pay that dude. I put food in that virtual dude's mouth for his virtual kids. Disgusting. All right, so let's get into it. Let's open up GarageBand. I'm sure you're all familiar with this wonderful screen here. Let's create a new song. Straight away we come up with drums. So I'm going to choose the acoustic drum kit. As you can see, let's move back to a full screen for a little bit. And choose the acoustic drums. Now I'm just going to let these sit, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to import a guitar loop just for the sake of this demo today. So let's do that as well. Let's choose a mic. More sounds, clean. All right, so what did I pick? We're going to pick that one. Oops. So I'm just going with 8 bars today to keep it nice and simple, because I'm trying to simplify drums today, not overcomplicate things. So we're just working with this 8 bar section here. Okay, nice and simple. But what we're going to do first is we're going to add an auto drummer as well, just so you can see how this schnizzle works. Now I'm going to go with Kyle because Kyle's the most consistent dude and he carries his own gear, so that's a good thing. All right, so you can see straight away Kyle has come up with an automatic drum section here. Let's have a listen to what we've been given. So it's pretty bland stuff, but if you have a look, let's just have a quick play around with this auto drummer. If you have a look at here, I'll zoom in a bit, see these patterns along here. Clearly you can understand them. This one in the middle of the line is clearly a kick. It's a big thick kick. There's a snare, and see this one here, clearly a hi-hat because of the size of it. So remember what I'm showing you here, because I'm going to show you how to, like, if you find a drum beat on your auto drummer that is really cool, you're able to mimic it and get rid of the auto drummer. I mean, and the reason I do suggest trying your best to get rid of the auto drummer is the auto drummer puts everything on one track. And look, it may be okay for like starting out. That's all great. Look at, and if it still makes you happy to do it too, whatever floats your boat, do what makes you happy. But with time, you'll start to see having drums all on one track really limits the velocity of the entire kit. I mean, you might want to pan things seriously to how you want to. Might want the snare a little bit louder. As you can see within this little screen here of Kyle and all his options, his drum kit and loudness, you don't get the option to fine tune all this stuff and make the snare a little bit louder. And especially the options you get with cymbal hits. I mean, there's either like, or this crazy one that is just, and it just turns into a hiss fest. It's horrible. So let's zoom back out again. Now, remembering, looking at these patterns that you can see, so they are separated into individual parts. Let's just turn up the fills down the bottom here. So I'm going to turn them up all the way and make it crazy. You can see heaps of that change, and that's mostly around all the fills. Another thing I hate about the auto drummer, the more you turn up your fills, the more your snare, if you notice when you go into your edit pad on your drum within creating your own drums, there's always 3 snare hits. There's like a absolute smash, a crack, there's a normal snare hit and a rim shot. When when you change the fills in the Auto Drummer, it adds the crack into the snares, which I hate. I just hate it so much. This is another reason to start breaking away from the Auto Drummer. Now you notice too, I'm just going to go to this little fills thing. If I just hold down on the mouse and just slightly move this down, just a tiny bit. See how much the drums change? That was only a fraction. I'll change it a little bit again. Again, that was nothing that I moved it. So just with slight incremental tiny little touches, you can get different fills. So we'll just go back from this section here. Now I'm going to go back and just touch it again really lightly. It's too light. Bang. Now let's listen. Heaps different, and there's just a tiny little change. Now, if you are making your own drums also, I'm going to show you this little tip for the Auto Drummer that is really handy for hi-hats. Keep the Auto Drummer for hi-hats. All right, so now most of you would have used, if you're watching this video, you've already used Auto Drummer in the past. So you know the deal with changing little buttons here, change the kick and snare. You can remove things, change to toms. So you've got all these options. Okay, we're going to mute Kyle for a bit, and we're going to move over to the acoustic drum kit. So all I'm going to do with this song is keep a very basic pattern using the, before we do anything else, something you always should check on before you start recording acoustic drums using this setup. Head over into your track settings and you'll see quantization, velocity, sensitivity, and recording. What's really handy always to have on is bass drum with cymbal hit. So there's that one. Your velocity, sensitivity, turn it off if you're playing onto the screen, because you can alter that later on. These are just what I do, and you'll notice whenever you start a new track, it automatically sets the quantization to 16th note straight. Turn it to none. Turn it off straight away. Try and play by yourself along with the beat in your click track, and then when you add the quantization after you've made the performance, in case you have made mistakes, then add the quantization. Don't let it do it for you automatically, because you're playing along in time and then you go back and listen. It doesn't always work out perfect. I know Apple thinks that it does and that's what they want it to do, but it just doesn't always work that way. So I'm going to keep it nice and simple for this. I'm probably only going to play about 4 bars and then copy and paste. I'm going to change drum kits as well because I prefer to use the Sunset kit. And let's go. Oh! I wasn't even ready there. Let's give that another shot. Get my iPad against the wall. Now I played that shit as hell, right? And it's because of the lag I have running through. Unfortunately, this is a thing running through the streaming software that I use. So that was a pretty shocking performance. But let's go and have a look at it because it's absolutely salvageable. This is the thing I'm trying to put through more than anything. Even if you fudge it completely, you can fix it. Now look at these notes here. They look all over the place. You've got this one down here, which is off. This one's pretty close. This one's way off. This is where quantization comes in, and you can do it for such a small part like this. Remember, making mistakes is what it's all about. Now I've moved that to 16. I've actually put it to 8th. Let's play it back by itself. Okay, so what's missing there? I've stuffed up a whole bunch of notes there, but now they're all in line, so that's a good thing. Now this is really pedantic, and it's something you don't have to do. Okay, it's something you don't have to do, but it's something that I always do. I'll turn on my notes up the top here, right up the top. I'll turn on the edit notes, and I'll go back and touch every single note that I've played and retouch. Okay, so we'll put a kick in there that was missed. I'm just going over everything I have. And why am I doing this? Because I want all these notes to actually be even, because touching the screen, it just makes sure that everything is actually on an even level. Why? Because you can go back and select all of them at once if you need to copy and move them to another place. So let's have a listen to it now. Okay, now you'll notice there's no hi-hats in there. Intentionally, I've put no hi-hats in because if you're not a drummer, you can actually build on top of this. This is the best thing. You can build on top of this track with your hi-hats. So for example, let's go ahead and hit record. Now, because I have quantization set, it should have automatically just hooked that all up. Cool, but once again, because I'm pedantic, I'm going to go in and edit this. See all of these, how they've all gone into the right place? I'm going to delete them all after recording them. So you can see by playing along where these parts are as well. So here's another way to do it. Cool. You know this first bar here, you can see where they're placed. Go and delete them. Delete. Hit edit. Let's. I think that's too many. Go back. I was right. So I'm just going to go and put them all in. Now they're all the same level. Bang. Let's have a listen. Cool. So there's that. Now I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it just afterwards. So now we've got the whole 8 bars all in play. You know what? I'm going to go in here now into this second track and we're going to edit this one. And I'm going to take all these hi-hats you see that we just, I'm going to select them all and I'm going to move them up to the ride. Actually, that was silly. Didn't want to select all of them, just from this part. So now we've got a change. Now it's just a slight change. I just changed from the hats to the ride, but it automatically makes that riff sound like it's something different. I can also go in there, edit, and drop out a whole bunch of the drums, really, the snare hits if I want to. So I could let's try taking these out. And where I dropped those 2 snares, let's just take all the ride hits and move them up to 1 to the dings. Now again, this is just basic stuff here, because the beauty of creating basic drum beats for your material this way is that you can actually, at least you've got a solid point, and it's not the virtual drummer, and then you can build on top of it. All right, let's have a listen to the whole thing. So what I'm going to do quickly in this first take here is edit again. Now, if you don't know how to do tom rolls, here's an interesting way to start without using the auto drummer to like try and learn a roll, right? Experiment, make mistakes. It's all digital. You can just delete it and start again. So see, I'll use my mouse here. So see all these gaps between, so down the bottom here, you've got, this is your kick, here's your snare, here's your hat. Now you've got all these spaces in between. Okay, look at all these spaces, and you've got 3 toms. So what I'm going to do here is one after the after this hi-hat here, I'm going to put in a, go to edit, I'm going to add in a small tom right there. I'm going to add in a medium tom right there, and then the last 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. I don't know what that's going to sound like. Okay, I have no idea. So let's have a listen to see what that roll sounds like. Okay. It's incredibly basic, but it'll do for this example. That's the beauty of it. You can open it up, edit it. You can take out a few. Take out this one. Let's see how that sounds. Cool, that even sounds better. So I'm going to hurry through the rest of this now, and I'm going to split these tracks up into individual drum parts, so you're able to mix each part automatically. But first, I'm going to go back to what I wanted to show you with the auto drummer as a trick. If you're struggling with hi-hats, because hi-hats are one of the things that a lot of people struggle with. Kick drums and snares are really easy to get the parts down, but it's the hi-hats that trouble a lot of people. So in this particular part here, which has hi-hats, I'm going to make a duplicate of the entire drum track. I'm going to copy just this first one. I'm going to paste it into here just to show you what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to mute this first drum track and select all 3 of these. Now I'm going to edit Kyle. And you see Kyle's drum kit here. He's got kick drum selected, snare. I'm going to remove all of those, and I'm only going to add the hats. Now if I play along, whoops, just let me go into this track here, and I'm going to remove the hats. Get rid of all those hats. Done. You can use the auto drummer as a cheat for just hats. So there you can clearly see by looking here, the auto drummer's just changed to hats. Let's have a play with. You can change the frequency of the hats, so he's got different styles. Let's try that. Cool, so I could use that quite easily if I was having trouble with hats. You can also do the same thing with fills as well. So if you're afraid to cut off everything, sorry, I'll just go in here. As you'll see, I'll zoom in on this. If you look at the auto drummer, you'll see there's a fill at the end there. That's because I've left the fills open. If I remove that, there you go. You'll see it'll just only be cymbals. But you can add fills to it just by turning up the fills. So that's an easy way to use cymbals Cool. Now, let's look at splitting these tracks up. So I can remove this dummy track I just had there. And I can actually just mute Kyle. So what I'm going to do now is split all these drums up as fast as I can to wrap this first episode up. And we're going to split these into parts. First, I'm going to join them. So you select both tracks and then hit join so it becomes one file. Now, so what's in it? We've got hi-hats, kick, snare, and some toms, and a ride. So it's about 6. So I'm just going to duplicate the original track, the original drum track. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it just makes 6. Now I'm going to go into the main drum track, hit edit, and I'm going to copy all the kick drums, every single kick drum. Bang, there they are. Or actually, you can cut them. I prefer just to copy them. Now, I'm going to go to my next track and we're going to add these drums. Make sure your pointer is at the beginning because it's we're doing kicks, so it's the first hit. Okay. So I'm going to click on the track. You've got edit and select all. I'm going to hit edit on this new track, touch the screen and just hit paste. Bang. Now those kicks are in that track. Now I'm going to do snares. Now here's where you need to start to pay attention. Now if you have a look here, the snare starts not at the beginning. So put your marker at the first hit of your snares before you copy the whole lot. Now I've got them copied. Now the reason I say put it at the start of your first snare hit, because if you don't, and you go to this, add it to this new track, touch the screen, edit, and hit paste, your snare hits won't end up in the right place. That's why I tell you to do that. They'll all end up wrong. So you've got to do that with every single instrument that you're splitting here. So we're going to go to the next section. What is that? Normally I do hats next. So we're going to copy all these hats. As you can see, they start right on the first beat, which I don't want because I'm doing a cymbal hit on that first beat. I need to remove that first hi-hat. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay. And see, I've put the marker right at the first hi-hat, ready to go. Copied the next track below, edit, and paste. And there's all the hi-hats added. Next, I'm going to go back to the first track. I'm going to take the ride hits, set the marker at the first ride hit, into your new track, edit, and paste. Now, what's next? Toms. Let's go over to toms. So we've only got this one section of toms here. Going to copy, put the marker at the first tom hit once again. New track. Done. And the last thing we want to add is cymbal. So there's only 2 cymbal hits, but we're going to need 2 tracks for these, and I'll show you why. Okay, so next track, edit, and paste cymbals. So now all of these vocals have been split into new tracks. We can mute the first track. Now let's play back all these drums without the acoustic guitar. I can pull out the snare. Now, what have I done wrong? Something's wrong. I know what it is, but I'm wondering if you guys can, you actually know what it is. It is, I'm pretty sure it is my toms. Let's have a look. No, it's not. It's all good. What we will do is go back into these toms and add this one back in. Cool. So there are all the drums, all separate, all in separate tracks ready to go. You can change the volume of them all. And here's the best bit. If you like a particular, so we'll do this and we'll wrap it up. If you look at my cymbals here, I'm going to make another drum track. I'm going to copy this cymbal track here. And then I'm going to paste it into this new track. I'm going to go into the top one, edit. I'm going to remove this second cymbal hit. That's gone now. Now I'm going to go into the new cymbals that I made underneath the copy and remove the first one. So now we have, because the drum kit's incredibly limited, you only get one crash sound. By splitting these drums up, you now have 2 crash sounds. You can go into your edit section, sunset, choose SoCal. So now you've got 2 different, let's just show the difference between the cymbals. Hopefully you can see the value in what I'm doing here. Trying to be able to split up the kits into different pieces so you're not sounding already like the generic drum kits that come in GarageBand. And it's, as you can see, this has only taken me, what, 20 minutes to do. So it's pretty easy to do, and you can only build on top of it from there. Have fun with it. You'll feel so much more accomplished by the end of it instead of using the auto drummer. And hey, I'm not bagging the auto drummer. I still use it for a lot of things to begin songs and stuff like that. But once you're starting to get more serious about, still using this platform, this is a really good idea to bring your drums to life. Because you will find just having the drums on this single track, like up the top here, then you have to play with the velocities a hell of a lot more than what you have to do by splitting them up. And it may seem like a bit of an extra yard and a bit of a hard thing to do, but trust me, it's incredibly worth it. So let's have a listen to the whole thing with the guitar in there. I'm just going to change the toms as well. So SoCal. Okay, so let's just close this down for now. I'm going to show you another thing which popped up in the GarageBand group this week that Pete, who's actually here today, put a question into the GarageBand users group about which auto drummers and the kits that they use. And somebody posted this, and I want to share it with you all because it is really cool. This is the table of drummer characteristics and their kits. So you can see Kyle and what kit he uses, SoCal, Logan uses retro rock, Anders uses heavy. It's a really good reference. Unfortunately, the drums that I use for everything, there is no drummer. What the hell? Get it together, iOS, for God's sake, Apple. So what I will do is I will find the link to, or I'll put this on my server so you can download it, or you can find it in the GarageBand users group. Really handy piece of information. Okay, so I think that's all we're going to do for today. This was just the basic opening for this week on how to begin to break the chains with the ex-wife that is the auto drummer. And hopefully from this video alone, It's giving you a little bit more confidence to be able to break away, because as I say with every episode, make mistakes, make as many as you can. Because out of those mistakes, sometimes really amazing things happen. If you're a guitarist or play any instrument, even a vocalist, you will have at some time during the recording process recorded something that shouldn't have worked at all. Vocally, keyboard, whatever. It should not have worked. But every time you listen to it back, it sounds sick. And you're definitely going to keep it. And a lot of that time too, it's really hard to recreate that because you made a mistake. So again, I'll reiterate, making mistakes is cool, especially in this digital era. All right, so that wraps that up for today. Tomorrow, I'm not exactly sure which app we're going to start with. It'll probably be EG Pulse. I probably will do it tomorrow. I'm looking at doing another drumming app that you can use in GarageBand also this week. And then to wrap up the whole week, what I'm going to do on the 4th episode is show you how to take your drums out of GarageBand that you've made like I have today and import them into another DAW. And I'll be using Audio Pro. And then I'll be using a plugin on top of that called Drumagog, which will take all those drum sounds that are so boring in iOS and completely give you the chance to overlay them with whatever drum sound your heart desires. And then you can even import them back over into GarageBand if you're more comfortable using GarageBand as a main DAW. Really cool. So stay tuned for that. Plus, I'll be giving away a copy of EG Pulse, which is cool as hell. So here we are at the end. Thank you very much for everybody who's been here today in the chat and witnessed this. I hope you've got some value from this. I hope you'll share, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you to everybody who has been subscribing and leaving comments. I will be getting to some of those comments today as I had a nice relaxing weekend away from a lot of this stuff. And I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you back here same time tomorrow. So take care, my friends, and be good to each other.